Go.
Oh, wow. Hit the ground running. Hi, I'm Marty Hardin. I am an artist, and as Joan Didion said, I've already lost touch with a couple of people I used to be. Along the way, I have been a painter, I've been a photographer, I've been a filmmaker, I've been a graphic designer, make a living as a creative director and designer. But about 5 years ago, I was making really elaborate pieces that became very fragile and very easily broken. And there was one piece that I had made that was fairly large, and the sixth time that I rebuilt it after our cats knocked it over, I decided I need to figure out another way to work. And so I literally stepped back trying to figure out how I could protect the work and how I could remain true to where I wanted to be. And one day I was walking down J Street and I came across a cigar box. And I thought about building shadow boxes and all these other things, and then I saw this cigar box and I was like, that's perfect. I can take this, I can close it up, I can put it on the shelf. I've even got a number so I don't even have to look at it, right? So I've got inventory control. And so these are a continuation of the larger scale pieces that I was doing before. And during my painting days, I started off very abstract, very free-flowing stuff, and lots of energy and gesture and stuff. And that was great. And then I started blending in and doing lots of trompe l'oeil things where things would look like they were sort of floating or advancing or receding in the surface. And then as I moved on, it was like I started embedding things in the paint as I was working. And so there were physical objects embedded in the acrylic, and it would dry, and there would be these things sort of hanging, floating off the surface. And then later I started doing actual construction on like masonite panels, which became the fragile pieces. And I was really happy with it, but then I was really sad every time I rebuilt one of these pieces, or in some cases they were destroyed so badly I couldn't get them back together. And so now I found, as I was working, I totally left painting out of the process because I was spending a lot of time trying to emulate something natural and organic that could actually create with physical objects themselves. And so for me, it allowed me to create a sense of a narrative, because these are things that I had a professor in college who would do these really abstract paintings and just really dense surfaces, but he would embed like numbers and letters. And he was talking about that was a way to invite the viewer in. They're intimidated by this field of abstraction. If they got something they instantly recognize. And so I'm always working with things that's like, you could recognize it, you know what it is, but you don't really know what it means. And so with each of these things, I start working with pieces, parts. I have boxes of old photographs. I am friends with the people at Whitney Book Corner, and they joke that I need to start buying books by the pound because I literally have bought maybe 300 books over the past year and a half or so. And so I use a lot of art history reference, a lot of photo reference, and I find pieces and parts that sort of work together that speak to me. And there's a narrative that makes sense to me, and the only thing I give the viewer as a clue is the name. Hopefully they can try to put something together. And so, like, this one's pretty easy. So I did Latin, and it's Mors Camelotus, which is Death of Camelot. And so it's the Kennedy, just the day of the Kennedy assassination. Then this one, I'm getting older, and it's hard for me to recall words sometimes. And so the name of this is on the tip of your tongue, on the tip of the tongue. And so you can sort of put together the image, and it's sort of there, and it's fleeting, and it's going away, and it's coming back in. And it's just fragments and pieces and parts. And so that's the story for me that's going on. This one, see, I use Google Translate to get a really cool sounding Latin name. But basically it means, are you blessed or are you lucky? And So in this case, you have somebody who's born into a royal lineage, and then you have the young girl that Vermeer used in a lot of his paintings over and over and over. She just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and she's immortalized in history. Here's somebody who had everything probably in their lifetime, have no idea who they are. They're just a royal, right? And so, again, it's me attempting to just create a narrative from pieces that I find that feel like they speak to each other for me. And as I was telling Peggy a little while ago, that I basically produce about a piece a week. And so I try to keep at that pace. And so I am under 2 years into the series, and I just produced my 100th piece. So it's, and I'm continuing on. I don't see any end in sight right now. The only thing is, I'm starting to return to the big unwieldy pieces that got me in trouble in the first place. It's just I've gotten better at putting them together, so hopefully they'll last a little bit longer. But let's see. And last time you wanted to know what my influences were, yes. And so influences, Robert Rauschenberg and his Combine paintings, right? Jasper Johns and his way of working with assemblage and different pieces. Joseph Cornell, of course, right? So with his work. And then I had two professors from college, one that I referenced earlier, who would embed little objects in these abstract fields, is Clarence Morgan, and who went on to teach at the Tyler Walker School of Art, and he became the head of the academic some club or union for art faculty for the U.S. And the other is Ray Elmore, who was the one person who, when I went to art school, I had no art training like we had in high school. So I went to college just because people said, hey, you can really draw, you should go to art school. So I did. And I sucked at it when I got there. Color theory, color design, all these things. But I had one professor, Ray Elmore, who recognized my drawing. And I was at this really despondent place. He took my drawing, put it up, and says, this is how you draw something. And that was that one moment that changed everything for me. And he became a supporter, a cheerleader, or whatever. So a lot of his work is really dense in imagery like this. And so he had a profound impact on me. So, questions?
What school was that?
Pardon me?
What school was that?
I went to the East Carolina University School of Art, A.J. Fletcher School of Art. I have a BFA. I had wife, kids need to eat, so I didn't get to go on for an MFA from there. But luckily, I've been able to continue on.
You know, I love that you use circles. It's almost like you've come full circle in your expression. I really appreciate that as someone who relies on symbolism personally. So
it's really interesting because I didn't put this together. There's a group of meetings they have once a month over at the Art Center in Troy, the artist sessions. And one of the people that's presenting does these elaborate fabric pieces. And she's talking about her mother was a fashion designer. She went to Parsons, right? And the more she was talking, the more I realized my grandmother was a seamstress. She took in clothing and sewing from people. And I don't know what it is about the embroidery hoops, but I keep getting drawn back to them. And circles are like a platonic form that are, perfection. It's just that shape is gorgeous and wonderful. And it also forces the viewer to focus. You basically make the viewer look somewhere, right? So I'm playing games with viewers.
What do you use for an adhesive?
It depends. So the hoops, I've found what really works is to mix up epoxy resin, turn it around a few times, and then sit it on the surface, put a weight on, let it sit for like 30 minutes, and it usually stays. Most of the images go down with a spray adhesive like Super 77, 3M Super 77. I use wood glue, I use hot glue, a lot of hot glue, big fan of hot glue. And that's about it.
About a month ago, I saw online that there was, you mentioned Cornell, there was a show of Cornell that was in a storefront that they recreated what his house
Jeff Koons
studio.
was behind that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Utopia Parkway.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Do you ever disassemble anything, or partway through?
Sometimes nature disassembles it. That's one. And then, yes, I do. It's like, even now I'm looking at things going, oh, I need to fix this. It's like a big blob of glue back here I didn't see. And, you know,
Well,
but
I'm
it's-
not buying that one.
But yeah, every once in a while I will say that just really doesn't work, or it looks cheesy. You know, and the line that I have a hard time walking is I don't want it to look like an arts and crafts project. You know, and I'm going into the arts and crafts store. So like I'm going into Michael's and I'm buying embroidery hoops and anyway, so it's keeping it in the artistic realm and not in the craft realm is really hard. And the other thing that I struggle with is I don't want the pieces to look repetitive, like I've created a formula and I'm just doing the same formula over and over and over.
How do you do that? How do you change it up in your mind?
I think
Not stop
I
around that pattern.
well, I think I stay true to the underlying principle of the pieces have to speak to me, and I have to find whatever that narrative is that sort of gives me a bead or a line that I can follow through on.
Does it start that way, or does it start with the narrative that you're thinking of?
It starts with me putting pieces together and trying to figure out what a story is. You know, like this one. This is called Open Season, and so I look at it as this is a young girl coming of age. She's just graduated from high school in probably the 40s, and now she's eligible for all these men, and these men are all coming after this young girl, you know, trying to woo her or whatever. And so there's some just thread of an idea that I'm working toward to try to tell the story. And anyway.
What is your favorite piece of all of those?
Ooh, it's really difficult because I like this one because I like these movable elements in here and there's images. I like the way that works. I like this one because there's actually like 10 different layers of images back through here. If you go further and further back and keep looking, there's more stuff. I like this one just for its simplicity. So a favorite, I really don't have one. The next one, or the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sort of the way it is.
Children?
Yeah.
100 kids, that's nice.
I think the transparency is kind of, that's interesting there.
I love the red.
Yeah, the colorants with that, but not, it's transparent.
Yeah, it's plexi safety glass or safety glass for like photo lab.
And you work with the physical film? Because you used to be
I did. There was one piece. It's not here, but I have like a piece of ortho film, and it's too thin and trying to adhere it. This is rigid. I
60
can.
millimeter or.
Yeah. Oh, like that kind of film.
Yeah.
I haven't worked with that, but I had a bunch of reels of film that I just got rid of. So shame on me.
I can donate this
Oh, no.
No.
I've been in a storage building for like 20 years. No, nothing.
And this is my wife, so she's begging
But
Gary,
the good
please,
thing
no.
is, I can tell you, he's always been a storyteller. I used to tell him he needed to write
Okay.
because he wrote several screenplays, and I was just like, this should be a novel. It's such a great story. And so I think now he's found another way to tell stories.
Yeah.
The way you describe the kernel behind that sounds like songwriting to me.
Oh,
It's
really?
that idea that you're trying to elicit the image,
Mhm.
and then you're trying to find the vehicle to elicit the image, and
Oh,
you
wow.
don't quite know where it's
I'll
going to
take
go.
that.
Instead of going words, you go with pieces. It's really neat.
Yeah, it's funny, that's the first time I've gotten that one, but sometimes it gets poetic. But
You're right.
whenever it says painter, so that's, which actually I don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just really captivating. Yeah, a lot of layers in that.
All right. Thank you, Marty.
All right,
Thank
thank you.